New construction homes are going to continue to be very popular in 2024, especially because they house the majority of the inventory in our market, as well as builders offering incredible incentives. So today I'm going to share the ultimate guide to buying a new construction home in 2024. It's a very different process than buying a resale home. So if you are considering a new development, this video is for you. Hey everybody, Happy New Year and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for an incredible 2023. I got to meet and help so many of you. I will continue to strive to try to offer great value on this channel. So let's get started with the ultimate guide to buying new construction in 2024. Step one is to find a great local realtor. Now, some guides will say get pre-approved or pre-qualified first, and for resale, I would agree, but for new construction, every builder is going to require that you get pre-qualified through their preferred lender. So why not narrow down your options and not waste your time getting pre-qualifications before even visiting a community? It is important to have a sense of your budget, of course, and you can get a rough idea by plugging in your numbers into online mortgage calculators. I would try a couple. I would also cushion them by a few $100s a month, just in case the community that you're interested in has higher HOA fees or higher taxes, but that'll give you a rough idea of what you can afford. Next, I would have your realtor set up a very effective day of showing. Put us to work. Where you can delegate, do so. Use your precious off time to do something more fun than trying to schedule appointments. But it is important that your realtor accompany you on the first visit to each community. Otherwise, you waive your right to representation. The office folks, as friendly as they are, they represent the builder. Their fiduciary duty is to the seller. Why not have somebody fighting in your corner, an experienced agent, when it costs you nothing? The builder pays all commissions, and they cannot give you a better deal simply because you don't have representation. I've found that now more than ever, especially when interest rates are a little bit higher and it's a little harder to qualify for a loan, an agent can make all the difference between you actually closing on a property and falling out of contract. The builder's lenders are spread pretty thin, and often they can't give you the time and energy that you deserve. So why not have somebody in your corner fighting specifically for you, especially if it doesn't increase your cost? Step two is to visit the communities with your realtor. Have us walk you through the model homes and make sure you understand what is an upgrade and what would come as a standard package. Remember, they pull out all the bells and whistles for the model homes, which are so fun to look at. They're incredibly beautiful. But if you are already pushing the budget, it's important to understand what comes standard with the base price package. We will help you ask all the necessary questions, such as what kind of inventory they have, what kind of incentives they're running, what is the time frame expected for the house to be completed, how long is the community going to be under construction, how long are you going to have to deal with construction noise or potentially some extra dust. We want to know what the HOA fees are, if any, tax rates, solar leases, how much more is that going to cost a month versus purchasing solar. There are probably questions that we will ask that you would never even thought to have asked, and we'll make sure that you get all the information up front to help you make the most informed decision. Step three, once you've narrowed down your options, go ahead and get pre-qualified through the builder's preferred lender. It's a quick 10-15 minute process. Typically, it's just an application and you don't even have to upload any documentation. The lender usually will call you to verify some information and they may run your credit. Now, don't be afraid to have your credit run more than one time. The industry is set up to encourage you to do your due diligence and shop the interest rates. So if you have your credit run 2 or 3 times within a 30-day period, it's not a big deal. It'll count as one hard inquiry. Now keep in mind, after getting that pre-qualification, you still have the option to utilize an outside lender. Right now, I'm finding that the builder's preferred lender has way more to offer as far as incentives. They have a lot more cash to work with to help buy down the interest rate. So most of the time, that'll probably get you the best deal, but just know that you're not required to utilize their preferred lender. Step 4, once you get that pre-qualification letter, you are free to start making an offer. Have your agent step in and start negotiating with the office. We know that builders are very protective of their price points, so it may be a great strategy not to target the price point, but target closing costs or additional funds to buy down the rate, or if you have the option of going to the design center, maybe get some credit to help you upgrade some of your finishes. Whatever it is, your agent is experienced in negotiating and will help you get the best possible deal. The negotiation usually happens verbally or via email, and while that process is happening, while we're waiting for the builder's response, I always ask for a PDF copy of the purchase agreement as well as all the disclosures available. Each builder has their own unique contract that is really written to protect them. So although realtors cannot interpret the contract, we can definitely help make sure that you ask the necessary questions to ensure that you understand what you're committing to. For example, most builders will have a clause that gives them a year or two to complete the build of your house. If there's an extraordinary event outside of their control and they can't get their hands on certain materials, there may be a delay in finishing your home. Now, builders are eager to finish on time. They have holding costs, they need the cash flow of closing on homes. So it's unlikely that it would take that long, but it's written in as protection for the builder that it could take a significant amount of time to finish your home. So it's just important that you understand the potential ramifications. Also, if you are a contingent buyer, meaning that you have to sell your current house in order to purchase a new one, you need to understand the builder's requirements. They may now accept a contingent offer, but they might require you to put your house on market within 5 days of getting into contract. So that means your current house has to be show ready. It has to be ready for photography, and you have to have the ability to move quickly if your house gets into contract. There's likely going to be a gap between when your house sells and when your new construction home is ready. So you need to factor in the cost of potentially finding temporary housing as well as storing your belongings until your new construction home is complete. And as mentioned, buying new construction is very different than buying resale. With new construction, you only have one protection period, and that's qualifying for the loan. That'll typically happen in the first 21 days that you're in contract. So the only way that you have the ability to cancel and get your deposit back is if you were to not qualify for the loan. With resale, you would have the opportunity to inspect the property, to have the appraisal potentially cancel if the home doesn't appraise, and you'd have the protection to qualify for the loan. For most builders, they don't allow third-party inspectors. Part of the reason being that home inspectors in California don't have to be licensed, so the builders don't want an inexperienced person pointing out red flags when they don't really exist. The builder has written into their contract typically that you have to get written permission to have a third-party inspector, and sometimes they'll acknowledge it. But the third-party inspector report is simply for your information. The builder typically stipulates that they don't have to acknowledge the report. Now keep in mind, city inspectors do have to sign off on any portion of the build. So electrical, plumbing, they have to make sure that everything's done to code. So a lot of my clients find peace of mind in that. But if you do prefer to have a third-party inspector, just make sure to address that or have your agent address that up front and get permission in writing. Now regarding the appraisal, for resale, as mentioned, you have a contingency in place. Most builders will write into their contracts that buyers are required to pay the agreed upon purchase price regardless of what the house appraises for, unless of course you have a VA or a federally backed FHA loan, which means federal guidelines require that you cannot be punished, you cannot be forced to continue with the contract if the house doesn't appraise. For conventional loans, you don't have that scapegoat. I find that most of the time with new construction, we don't have issues with appraisal, but that being said, it's possible that it could happen, so it's important that you understand the potential ramifications. If there is a small discrepancy in price point, you may have to come to the table with a little more cash than you anticipated. The builder will sometimes negotiate the price point down, but as mentioned, they're very protective of price points, and that's partially why we rarely have issues with appraisal. There have been enough recent sales at a similar price point that most appraisers, in my experience, have found the value to be consistent with the purchase price. Step 5, once the builder has responded and you two are in agreement, the builder will ask that you submit your earnest deposit to escrow. Remember, the earnest deposit is your skin in the game. That's what you potentially jeopardize if you default on the contract. Essentially meaning if you cancel for any other reason aside from not qualifying for the loan in the first 21 days or so. The builder will require that you submit the earnest deposit before drafting that final contract, but you should feel confident in doing so because you've reviewed the PDF documents and all the disclosures available. We do still want to very thoroughly read through the final contract to make sure the purchase price is accurate, the home and lot number is accurate, as well as confirming that all the incentives are correct. Step 6, you may have a variety of appointments to attend, and it depends on how far along your home is. If your home is near completion, you're likely just going to have your new homeowner orientation or your final walkthrough. And that is usually reserved just for buyers because the builder wants to protect this experience. It's a really informative meeting. They walk you through the entire house, all the systems, the smart features to ensure that you'll know how to operate your home once you move in. Now, I typically do attend. I just show up. I don't really give notice. Sorry, builders. Most of the time, they welcome me with open arms because they know I'm also very respectful of this process. However, a lot of my clients feel that peace of mind to have a second set of eyes and ears listening in because I've attended so many of them. I know what is unusual and when I need to step in and try to advocate for the buyers to make sure that something's done properly before they move in. If your home is about 6 to 8 months out from completion, you might have the opportunity to select your own finishes, and you'll do so at the design center. And this is a really fun meeting. And I actually typically don't attend because I feel like there are too many cooks in the kitchen. It's important that just the buyers can focus on what they want to spend. Keep in mind again that you may have to pay up to a 50% deposit up front in order to order these finishes. So just be mindful of your budget, and I always remind my clients before they go. Check out the video above. I talk about what upgrades are worth doing through the builder and what you might want to upgrade after moving in. Keep in mind, everything that you upgrade at the design center is going to increase your total purchase price, which means it's going to increase the price point that you're taxed on. So just be savvy. There are certain items that you can easily do inexpensively and without much hassle on your own after closing. Step 7, once you've gotten loan approval and an appraiser has gone out and verified that your home is worth what you're offering, we are ready to close. You're going to be signing your loan documents in person with a notary. Once you've done so, you'll wire the remaining funds necessary to close on the house. The lender will distribute their funds as well. Once the title company has released to record and confirmed recording with the county, then the sale is done and you get keys. So that, my friends, from start to finish, is the ultimate guide to buying new construction in 2024. I tried to give you some unique information and some helpful tips that you're not going to find anywhere else, but I promise you there are so many scenarios that come up. It is just so helpful and reassuring to have an experienced set of eyes and an agent fighting for you and advocating for you. We are the missing link often in communication between the lender, the title company, and the buyer. We help ensure that there's over communication and not a lack of. And that way everybody's on the same page. The process is smooth. All parties are happy in the end. If you are considering buying new construction in Solano County, or you'd like help finding a great realtor in your area, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be honored to help.